Hey guys, what is going on? We are back on the Tier Maker website, and you already know what that means on the channel. You can probably tell by the thumbnail and, of course, the title. We're going to be ranking the SMGs in the Vanguard mid-season update here. And that, of course, includes the brand new addition to the game, which is the Welgun, which I think is... it's up there. If you didn't see yesterday's video talking about the best class setup for this thing, make sure you do go check that out. The link will be on the screen right now. And while you are there as well, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on, because I do very much appreciate it and it really does help me out. Of course, we are still looking for 6,000 subscribers and we're getting there. We're pushing a little bit harder these days, which I do massively appreciate. So let's talk about some of the tier rankings. Let's talk about what the tiers actually mean here. Of course, if you've seen any of these before, you can skip to the rankings, but we do have the bottom tier, which is the dumpster. You do not want to find yourself in this. There might be a couple, or maybe one or two on this list that I don't really enjoy using too much. I will talk about that more in a second. Above that, we do have the not bad tier. These are weapons that are only okay. They do have specific flaws that make them a little bit worse than others. Pretty good, middle of the road here, really weapons that you can get away with using. You'll do fine with a lot of these for the most part. These are just weapons that are basically middle of the road. Above this is the almost meta tier. These are weapons that are pushing it. They maybe have one or two things that do hold them back from being one of the better options in the game. But I do still think in the almost meta tier, we have some very powerful weapons on this list. Then at the tip top, we do have the meta here, which are some of the best guns in the game at the moment. Definitely competing for like that best gun in the game category. Really, really good stuff in the meta tier. So we do start off with the M1928, and now I've actually done a little cool thing for myself, and I have taken a look at all of the attachments that we can go with, all the best class setups and stuff, and we've actually written down the TTKs, so I don't have to keep remembering off the top of my head here. So the good thing about the M1928 is that it is very reliable. You can hit lots of shots with this thing, and it does have a TTK value of about 170-ish, 172 to 180 milliseconds, depending on frame rounding. I think this is a very, very good gun in this game. Plus, when you do throw in that 100 round mag, you basically have a pocket LMG with fast movement speed stats, fast handling. It's just a fun weapon to use, especially with that 100 round mag. I really do appreciate the M1928. It is one of my more favorite weapons in the game, but it is still a little bit slower in terms of killing than some of the other weapons on this list, but it is very, very easy to use. So we are going to put this in the almost meta tier, probably the top, because I think it's almost pushing it. Just if this did hit a little harder, maybe fired slightly faster, it would be pushing it to the top tier. Next, we do have something that is going to be a little controversial here, and this is the MP40. Now, I know a lot of you guys do like this, and I love this weapon myself. I just love the way that it plays. I love the way that it feels. It just fires very nicely. It's very accurate. The iron sights are ridiculously clean on this thing. It's a classic COD gun. What's not to like about this? Well, if you do take a look at the TTK value that we did calculate earlier, it's actually about 200 milliseconds just off the rip. That doesn't include any like two-shot kill shenanigans that you can sometimes get with the incendiary damage. But as I mentioned a couple of times previously, you can't really get that two-shot weird limb thing like you used to be able to do with the MP40, and that does make it a little bit worse than it used to be. I believe you can sort of push this thing to about 200 milliseconds in terms of that TTK, and you can still occasionally get your two-shot kill if you do get that burn damage to play out from the incendiary damage, which is 9 damage on top of 45, gives you 54 damage per bullet, but the burn damage does have to play out after about 3 seconds. So you can technically get two-shot kills, but they're not really that fast. But again, because this thing is so easy to use, it's super popular, it's just a middle of the road gun, but it is pushing it in terms of those stats being really, really nice. Again, we're going to put this in the almost meta tier. I'm a little bit sad about the like slightly slower TTK, but again, 200 milliseconds is still a pretty decent mark to hit in this game. So when I did the calculation for the Owen gun, I actually almost didn't believe it. Like with the right attachments on this thing, you can actually get this thing down to a TTK value of 92 milliseconds, below 100, which is absolutely lightning fast here. Now, the only thing that I don't really like about the Owen gun is the fact that it is, of course, the Owen gun. And when you do use this thing, when you do aim down sight, or when you just have the weapon on your screen, it basically, like, the magazine takes up half of this. Like, it's just like wearing an eye patch. You can't see anybody on the right-hand side of your screen. So you do have to take gunfights from the left most of the time, which is not ideal. You do want to be able to see as much as possible in this game, and this does not really allow you to do that. I believe when you are tack sprinting as well with this thing, it does also block off a fair bit of your screen, making it quite hard to pick up new targets. So again, this is one of those weapons that I'm going to actually put in the middle of the road here. I believe this probably belongs in the pretty good tier, just for having an absolutely ridiculously fast TTK with all of the attachments. It can be a little inaccurate, but I don't think it's too bad. But again, ridiculously fast 92 millisecond TTK, assuming I calculated that correctly. You get a two-shot kill, quite actually fast fire rate. This thing can be a monster, but again, being able to not see on the right-hand side of your screen does feel kind of bad. It is sort of mitigated when you do get the larger magazine with the two-shot kill, but again, it's a little janky here. So I'm going to put this in the middle tier because it is a monstrously fast killing weapon. But again, because it is the Owen gun, the magazine's on top, and it's just a little janky here. PPSH is another one that I do very, very much appreciate in this game. The PPSH, an absolute classic weapon from Call of Duty history. It does feature 180 milliseconds worth of that TTK value, which again, pretty good milestone to hit. 180 milliseconds is basically the mark you want to hit for a pretty good weapon in this game, and it falls just below that, which is very, very cool. I do think it can be a little inconsistent in terms of that recoil. If this was slightly more accurate, it might be a little higher on this list, but because it is a classic weapon, everybody loves using this thing. It sounds cool, it moves around cool, like you get the good movement speed stats from the SMG category. This thing's just really good. It's not one of my favorite ones, but again, I think it's probably going to be at the bottom of the almost meta tier, probably somewhere between these two in my opinion, but it is still quite good. And again, 180 millisecond time to kill, still quite good value for this game. So when I was calculating the TTK value stats and all of the other things for the Sten, I was looking at it like kind of the wrong way. I initially thought this thing had like a 270 millisecond time to kill, just like off the rip, and I'm like, that can't be right. That can't be right. Everything else is like 180, 200 milliseconds, and this thing's like almost a third of a second to kill someone. That doesn't seem right. It's technically not that. It's about 160 to 170 milliseconds with sort of a faster killing build. But again, this is another thing that I do sort of typically forget about in terms of the Sten. I don't usually like using this thing. Again, this is another one of those weapons that when you are attack sprinting around, it actually like appears like a big T on the side of your screen, and it holds it like it's just ridiculously bad when you are trying to get new targets, trying to sprint around, be aggressive, get that attack sprint going, and then your gun appears and blocks off half your screen. It just feels really, really bad to use. And again, bad feelings about these weapons are not ideal, but the TTK isn't that bad. I think it's actually still okay. We're gonna put this in the not bad tier, and don't really typically like talking about the Sten because I don't think it's very good. But again, TTK is not too bad, but again, the rest of the sort of speeches about this gun don't really make me want to use it, so we're gonna put it in the not bad tier. Now, we do have the Type 100, which is again, one of my absolute favorite weapons in the game. You can take the TTK value with the right attachments to this thing down to 140 milliseconds, which is lightning fast here. This is a really, really accurate weapon as well. Even when you do put in the Warabachi barrel to increase that fire rate, this thing's still a laser beam. You can't really miss shots with this. I think a little bit side to side if you do fire for a while, but again, really, really easy to hit shots with this. You get those good movement speed stats, fast handling speeds from, of course, the SMG category, and you get a fast TTK value as well. This is one of the best SMGs going around, and definitely one of the best guns in Vanguard with the mid-season update. Might be overshadowed by something that we're about to talk about, but I do know that the Type 100 is one of my absolute favorite guns in the game. You get good damage range value. I think you get your damage range at about 30 meters, which is really, really nice for getting a 3-shot kill at about 140 milliseconds. Very, very fun weapon to use. The TTK value on this thing, as I said, is a real standout feature. So we are going to put this in the meta tier, but we'll talk about something else in a second. I think this might be at the bottom of the meta tier because something new, a new bad boy has entered the race, and that is the Welgun. Now, this thing with the right attachments can actually get a 2-shot kill. You get a headshot and you get a body shot follow-up is a 2-shot kill for 100 milliseconds worth of TTK. If you end up getting that 3-shot kill, I believe it's about 200 milliseconds, which is not too bad. It's a little slower, but the fact that you can get that 2-shot kill with an improved crit zone with the barrel, you get that upper torso kill counting as a headshot. This thing is just like no contest here. You can also get 45 damage per bullet, and then you throw hollow point into the mix. I believe you can get like a limb shot and then a headshot or upper torso like 2-shot kill. This thing's just a monster. The damage range is fine. The recoil is really easy to control. This thing is really, really good here. If you've not tried it out, if you've not leveled it up, if you've not seen this thing in action, make sure you do go check out the video that we did mention previously, because this thing is an absolute machine. Once people start leveling this thing up, once people work that this thing is broken, oh, there's going to be a lot of this running around in the game. You're going to get killed very, very quickly when you get shot in the head, man. It's like when you do play against the NZ41. If somebody gets a headshot on you and then a body shot follow-up, you know that you've just been killed by something that has a ridiculously fast TTK in the right circumstances, and this is one of those guns. So again, we're going to put the Welgun at the top tier of the meta. I believe this is the best SMG in the game at the moment. All the stats point to this. I mean, it is a little slow in terms of that aim down sight speed, but I just walk around with the aim down sight speed up most of the time anyway, and that's sort of how I play the game. So this thing really does work for me. It's basically a mini cross SMG assault rifle hybrid with its damage range and its accuracy and its damage. It's just a really, really good SMG. Go try it out if you've not already done so. Again, go check out the video that we talked about previously. Again, another thing that I would massively appreciate you doing is, of course, hitting that subscribe button for me. I know about 85-90% of you guys watching these videos right now are not subscribed, so if you could take the time, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And again, thank you very much for watching, as I said already, and I hopefully will see you in the next video. Bye!